And coming up, a look at Alzheimer's disease in the Mexican-American community.
Do they get withdrawn from their activities? If they've always liked to golf or play bingo and all of a sudden they don't want to do that because they don't like it.
Fronteras continues after the break. This is Fronteras. I'm Crystal Chavez. As demographics change across the nation and in Texas, there's growing concern about Alzheimer's disease among Mexican Americans, a population that continues to age. More than 5 million Americans have Alzheimer's disease today. But by 2050, the nonprofit Alzheimer's Association says up to 16 million people will have the disease. The prevalence for Alzheimer's increases with age, and there's no cure for it right now.
As the population of the United States both ages and turns more Hispanic, then the number of cases of Mexican-American Alzheimer's patients is likely to grow.
That's Dr. Donald Royall of the UT Health Science Center. Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia, a syndrome that affects mental capacity to the point of interfering with daily life. Dr. Royall says the prevalence of dementia is higher in Mexican Americans, but he says dementia in Mexican Americans may be caused by factors other than Alzheimer's.
There's a lot of reasons to suspect that Mexican Americans may be experiencing a lot of other causes of dementia, like vascular dementia, diabetes can affect cognition, depression can affect cognition, and the rates of all of those problems are higher in Mexican Americans.
Royall says researchers are trying to find ways to diagnose dementia very early on. That way, interventions such as lifestyle changes or medications could be taken to delay the onset and help with the symptoms. But he says factors such as language, culture, and education can make diagnosing dementia more difficult when it comes to minority patients. And here to talk more about this topic, Maxine Vieyra, program specialist with the San Antonio and South Texas chapter of the Alzheimer's Association.
We're talking about a very progressive disease that starts and affects the short-term memory first. So whatever you might have learned this morning or this afternoon is what is forgotten often or before, but yet the long-term memory continues to be, and that's when you see all the repetitive stories of things that might have happened before or conversations of things they might have done when they were younger. And that's how it affects the brain. It eventually becomes fatal because it does, the way that it progresses, it almost has the body forget how to breathe on its own, how to eat, and so forth. So it's a progressive, in reverse kind of disease.
What are some of the signs that someone has Alzheimer's?
One of the best examples that we use, for example, we all forget where we place our keys. We walk in the house, we place our keys on the table by the door.
That's me.
That's us, all of us, right? Or the glasses, for example. You have them on the top of your head, you left them on the side, table, whatnot. So what happens is that you give up the search because you're frustrated, give up the search, you go do something else, and then the memory strikes you like, oh, I know where I left them, and you go back. The person that starts to have serious problems with memory or the dementia, they lose the ability to retrace those steps back. Because you and I can go, okay, I walked in the door, I placed them by the side door, or I went to this and this, and you go through all your steps. The person that has memory problems is not able to do that anymore. And so you start to see them, be more confused than before, more forgetful. Maybe they're skipping a payment. They're going on shopping sprees because the filters for judgment get compromised. Maybe they're cursing more than before. Do they get withdrawn from their activities? If they've always liked to golf or play bingo and all of a sudden they don't want to do that because they don't like it, it's maybe that they don't understand the concept of the game anymore. So that's when you start to see that something is amiss. And they become more forgetful. Is it interfering with their daily life? And you want to pay attention to those signs.
There's you hear a lot about those little brain games, and you can do them on your phone, and there's apps to keep yourself sharp. I mean, is that really something the experts recommend people do to keep their mind sharp?
The way we tell individuals is if a special diet for you works, keeps you healthy throughout, if a special way of exercise, keeps you and maintains you, even if brain games can help you and maintain, by all means, you should exercise and eat well and do all of that for your own benefit. Again, once a person is on track to develop Alzheimer's, once the doctors identify the biomarkers that somebody will develop Alzheimer's disease, then there's nothing that can prevent you from that. But it can maintain you for a while. I mean, that's why there's medication to maintain someone and amplify their brain, but, their memory, but not necessarily keep the disease from fully developing in someone.
If someone is on that track, and that you mentioned that is irreversible, what are resources and things that can be done to improve their quality of life for them and their caregivers?
Education is key. The more educated as a family caregiver and even the individual who has the disease, the more qualified we are to handle the disease, the better prepared we are to handle the stress. The Alzheimer's Association, we can provide you with resources on how to tap into that information. Are you going to bring someone into the home to help you in their care? Are you looking at placement? When is the time to do the placement? And so we have all of that information available to our families. We conduct regularly different education programs throughout the community so that families can attend, and they're free of charge all the time. We're hosted by different facilities in the area as well as churches and other places, and it's a way of meeting other families that may be going through the same thing as our caregivers, because oftentimes, as a caregiver, we feel that we're the only ones experiencing such distress in caring for a loved one, but it's other families that may be going through the same things as well.
You say we. Are you a caregiver for someone?
I am. I'm actually a caregiver for a mom who has diabetes type 2 and is already exhibiting dementia problems. So we're thinking we're still at a somewhat good place with her, but we're looking and facing probably, the diagnosis, what it is, that it is a vascular dementia and that she's in decline, and we have to be aware of that. So,
how old is your mother, if you don't mind me asking?
No, my mom is 78 years old. But then in her case as well, she's had other health problems that she has to deal with. So all of that compounded has really been the determining factor of where we're at with her today. And so in caring for her, it's also a learning experience for me. And so I can now relate to our caregivers. I'm not just letting them know this is what we could do, or this is how we should approach this, but I understand their journey as well.
You're speaking from experience.
Absolutely.
There's a strategy that sounds interesting to educate people about all of this called pláticas or talks. Tell me about that.
Yes, las pláticas, conversations about dementia, is an effort of the Alzheimer's Association to reach out to our Hispanic community, which we know traditionally is the one that least seeks out help. We will continue to care for our loved ones at home, even though we're in distress. And so we want to educate the Hispanic community. There are resources available to them that in most cases at no cost to them. And so Las Pláticas came about as that effort. And we partner with Dr. Yvonne Lozano, who is a gerontologist in San Antonio, and she has, helped us throughout many our symposiums and education programs. And we're developing something that we can bring to them at, how the Hispanic community may not feel intimidated. So we're working on the details for that, but we're aiming hopefully for early fall to have something available in October.
The Alzheimer's Association's Maxine Vieyra says those pláticas, or talks, would be informal town hall meetings to help Hispanic families who are caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's or who want to plan ahead. That's it for Fronteras, a journalism project that covers the U.S.-Mexico border region, immigration, and the growing Latino demographic. Fronteras is a collaboration of public radio stations along the Southwest. You can find the entire audio for this program and past shows online at tpr.org. Just look under the Programs tab. This theme music was composed by Charanga Cakewalk. I'm Texas Public Radio's Crystal Chavez. Thanks so much for listening.